Good day, viewers. In today's video, we are going to measure lintel and all other items that are associated to lintel. So we measure the concrete in lintel, we measure reinforcement in lintel, and lastly, we measure formwork to lintel. In the previous video, in the last video, we measured concrete slab, suspended slab, and other items that are related to the slab, like formwork to slab and reinforcement in slab. Our measurements, lintel measurements, will be done on the first floor slab, sorry, on the ground floor plan and the first floor plan. So I'm going to use this plan and this plan for our measurement. Let me rename this plan. This is our ground floor plan. And this is our first floor plan. Okay, so without wasting much of our time, let's quickly measure our lintel. We're going to measure our lintel with the aid of our lintel plugin. Lintel is part of superstructure work. So our lintel plugin will be under our superstructure folder. Lintel. Yeah, that's it. So under this we have formwork, reinforcement, link, / stirrup. But before then, I will want us to scale this drawing. I told you guys that whenever you want to work on a new drawing this way, you first of all scale. The first thing is that you scale the drawing before commencement of measurement. So let's scale this drawing. We have the width of the building, or let me say the length of the building, as 17,100, while the width here is 7,600. So let's scale both dimensions. Scale this 17,100 from this point down to this point, while the other side, which is 7,600 will be from this point down to this point. Let's confirm what we just scaled. Let me look for a. Okay, let's check this dimension out. Let's check this out. If our scaling is right, this will give us, I mean, this should give 7.6. So let's check it out. Dimension from this point down to this point. What do we have? 7,600. With this, we are good to go. Let me turn off the dimension and description of the dimension. Okay, as we all know, our lintel, we usually have lintel above our door and window opening. So the lintel is there to create opening for door, window, and probably we also have lintel in our distance too. Our terrace, yes, we should have a lintel here. We have a lintel here. We also have another lintel here too. So we have lintel above the openings in the building. Let me put it that way. So let's measure. Okay. So this is concrete lintel, I want to add ground floor to this because what the lintel we're about to measure is on the ground floor. Or at the end of the day, depending on how you want to prepare your bill of quantity, you might end up separating the lintel for ground floor and that of first floor. You might not match them together depending on the type of bill of quantity you're going to prepare at the end of the day. So this is our ground floor lintel. So the first feed here is the extension feed. As we all know, whenever you have lintel this way, you usually have extension, like extension of the lintel beyond the opening. Uh, our extension here is usually 0.25. The thickness of our lintel here is 0.25 also. While the width of our lintel, the width of the lintel depends on the width of the wall. And from what we have here, I think we have two types of wall in this building. We have two types of wall. The the partition wall here is 150, while the external wall is 225. So that means at the end of the day, like, we have to measure the lintel on the internal partition wall separately and also measure the lintel on the external wall separately. You can see we have a lintel here above this door. The width of the lintel here will be different from the width of the lintel here because of the size of the wall. This wall is 225 mm from this place, from this dimension here. What we have here is 225, but this wall, this wall, they are what, 150 mm from this dimension. Or yes, from this dimension here. What we have there is 150. Okay, so that means okay, how are we going to differentiate them? Concrete lintel on on 225 mm wall. Okay, ground floor. Because some of our internal partition wall here, they are 225. So you can't just categorize our lintel here as those on means internal and external wall. It won't work that way because we have internal 225 mm wall and also have internal 150 mm wall. So the best way to do it is like this way. Lay a concrete lintel on 225 mm wall. Then the other one will be concrete lintel on 150 mm wall. So since this lintel will be on 225 mm wall, the width here will be the same as the width of the wall, which is 225. So this will be 0.225 or 0.23. 0.23. So I made a mistake here. This dimension here is 0.23 or 0.225. 0.23, 0.23, 0.23. And with this, we are good to go. Superstructure. Let's quickly measure our lintel. Lintel on 150 mm wall. So we have a lintel. Starting from this point, we have a lintel here. Let me zoom in to have better view. Let me reduce these two sides of this. Okay. So we have a lintel here, which spans from this point down to this point. Since we are not done with our measurements, we'll click on N. We'll use the N button. N for next. From this point down to this point, N. From this point down to this point. From this point down to this point. Although depending on the method of construction, some contractor they don't usually break their lintel this way. The lintel is usually like continuous concrete work, like to go continue, like the this thing is usually continuous concrete work. To go from this point down that way, you won't have break edge this way. Like depending on the method of construction. So that's why as QS we work hand in hand with other professionals on site. because if the contractor wants to make use of that type of continuous lintel without breakage, if you measure it this way, at the end of the day, you under measure. So, but that is it's very important that you consult or you discuss with other professionals while executing your own work as a quantity surveyor. Okay, so this from this point down to this point, click on N. From this point down to this point, click on N. From this point down to this point, N. From this point down to this point, N. From this point down to this point, from this point down to this point. Down to this point. From this point, I think it won't make sense if we should stop this day and we'll start this other one from this point to the other point. So let's just measure the whole thing this way. And then since we have an opening here, we should have a lintel above that opening too. So I'm going to add this to our lintel. Okay, I think we're done with this side of the building. Let's move to the other side. We have an opening here too, an opening entrance to the stair hall. So let's measure the lintel above the opening. From this point down to this point, from this point down to this point, from this point down to this point. Okay, down to this point, from this point down to this point, from this point down to this point, this point down to this point, this point down to the point. Okay, I think we're almost done with the lintel on 150 mm wall. Sorry, on 225 mm wall, not 150 mm wall. Okay, so I think with this, we are done with measurement of lintels on 150 mm wall. So let's deactivate this plugin. Then we'll reactivate the plugin for 150 mm wall. I think we should have a lintel too. There's an opening here and there's an opening here. There's an opening here. So let's measure the lintel above those openings. Okay. I think with this, we're done with measurement of lintel on 150 mm wall. So I'm going to use the escape button to deactivate the plugin. Then I will reactivate this plugin. Reactivate the plugin. This will be lintel on 150 mm wall, ground floor. The extension here remains the same, 0.23. The thickness remains the same, regardless of although depending on the structural engineer specification. It depends on the structural engineer specification. Then the width here will be the same as the width of the wall. Since this will be on 150 mm wall, then the width here too would be 0.15. And click on OK to activate that plugin. So this will be from this point down to this point. Then click on N. Then we have another lintel from this point down to this point. We have another one here. and the last lintel on 150 wall. Okay, so I think with this we're done with measurement of lintel, of concrete in lintel or on the ground floor. Let's check our takeoff summary. So we'll measure other items. So I'm going to click on escape to deactivate this. Escape to deactivate. Then I'm going to click on takeoff summary in the bottom left corner of the software to have access to other items. Okay, so our formwork is measured, automatically measured. Let me expand it so we'll see it. Okay, our formwork is automatically measured. The reinforcement in lintel is yet to be measured. So let's input the required data. So we'll measure that. The diameter of our reinforcement here is 12 mm. 12 mm. Although, okay, I'm coming. Let me close this. Let's check our building section. I don't know. Do we have section through the lintel showing the type of reinforcement? Let's check. Let's check. I don't think we have. Okay. I don't think so. It should be it should be part of the structural drawing. Let me check the structural drawings. I don't think we'll have something like that. Lintel schedule. So the lintel schedule here didn't state the exact size of reinforcement. What we have here is like recommendation based on the span of the lintel. Based on the span of the lintel. And based on what we have here in the specification, the bottom bar, yeah, according to the specification, should be 16 mm if the span is between 900 mm and 1.8, and the top bar should be 12 mm, two in number. Okay, so let's use 16 mm. 16 mm. So we use 16 mm for the whole reinforcement in the lintel. 16 mm. Because if you want to go by this, like we'll have to go through. Yeah, it will be somehow difficult. Yeah, it will be somehow difficult to implement what we have here in the schedule. So let's go with 16 mm reinforcement. Let's go with 16 mm reinforcement. Okay, so back to our takeoff summary. Sorry. Okay, reinforcement in lintel. Number of reinforcement here is 4. 4 reinforcement. The bar width for 12 mm 0.88. Oh, 16 mm 0 points. Yeah. Okay, I think we're done with that. Then the stirrup diameter here 10 mm. That didn't state. Okay, oh, 10 mm. Oh, it stated here. It stated here 10 mm. All true. 10 mm. Then the bar width for 10 mm. Center to center spacing at 200 mm. 200 mm. Then the cover. How many number of cover do we have? We have 2 numbers of cover. Then the size of the cover here is 25 mm. This is 25 mm. Side numbers of side. We have 4 sides. 4 sides. Side A, we have two side A. I explained that in our previous video, our video on measurement of beam. Yeah, I think video measurement of beam. I explained what we mean by side A and side B. Then the lap. Yeah, let's use 150. So with that, we're done with measurement of stirrup. Let's measure the reinforcement in the 150 lintel. Diameter here remains the same, 16 mm. The number of reinforcement here is 4. Then the bar width is 1.57. Click on OK. Then the last part here is the the stirrup or link. The diameter here is what, 10 mm. The bar width for 10 mm, center to center spacing, numbers of cover 2. The size of the cover here is 25 mm. Numbers of side, we have 4 sides. 4 sides. Side A, 2 side A, 2 side B, and the lapping here is 150, not 100, 150. Okay, so with this, we are done with measurement of lintel on ground floor. Measurement of lintel on ground floor. We have lintel 2 on the first floor, and the place of measurement is same as what we just did. Okay, should we quickly measure that? I believe it's what we did. You guys should be able to measure the this thing on the first floor. Okay, let's quickly measure that. It won't take time. Okay, let's scale our plan. 17.7, sorry, 17.1 starts from this point down to this point, and from this point 8.425. From this point down to this point. Then let's cross check our scale. Let's check this out. Distance from this point down to this point. Okay, this should give 3 meters, but what we have here is a little bit lesser than 3 meter, but it should be 3 meter. Okay, I think that's correct. Let me cross check this. Think this is somehow correct. Okay, I think we can work with what we have here. Let me turn off the dimension. So let's quickly measure this thing on the first floor, the lintel on the first floor. Okay, so this is concrete lintel. I think we have 150 wall here too. Do we have 150 wall here? This particular wall looks like 150 I'm calling confirm from the dimension. We can also check that out using our dimension tool, the aid of our dimension tool. So let's check. Let me zoom in very well. Then check, because it's this particular wall looks like 150 wall. I think it's the 150 wall. The 150 wall. Because mere looking at this is smaller than this, and this particular wall is smaller than this and this. So we have 150 wall here too. So our lintel will be divided into two. Okay, so we have concrete lintel on 225 wall. The extension here is the same, 0.2323. The thickness here is the same, 0.23, and the width is 0.23, and this is on first floor. Okay, so let's quickly measure that. Let me zoom in so I have better view. After our lintel, I think the concrete work that's left is staircase. Staircase. I'm going to measure that in our next video. In the next video, I'm going to measure staircase. The measurement of staircase, I don't usually measure staircase with plugin. I don't measure staircase with plugin. I have an Excel template for measurement of staircase. So that's what I will use in our next video. It's easy. Just check your staircase drawing and you input the required dimensions. The template, with that template, you'll be able to measure the concrete work, formwork. You will not be able to measure the enforcement using that template. We'll also measure the finishes too to staircase, because you really have finishes to staircase, screed, tile, or paint, as the case may be, to the staircase. So we'll measure all that, we'll measure all of that in our next video. When I'm done, I'll also share the template with you guys. Okay, I think we're done with the lintels on 150 wall, on 225 wall. I'm not sure if what we have here is 150 It's looking like 150 Okay, so let's quickly measure the other size of lintel. Okay, lintel on 150 wall. This is first floor. The extension here is also 0.23. 0.23. The thickness remains the same, while the width here is 0.15. And we have this lintel. We have another one here. We have another one here. And the last one on this side. Then on this other side, we have a lintel here. I have a lintel here. And the last one on this side. So with this, we are done with measurement of lintel. In our next video, we'll measure the last the last part of our structure, building structure, the structural aspect of the building, which is staircase. So we'll measure the staircase in our next video with the aid of my Excel template. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.